Welcome to the Printed by Mama podcast with me, your host, Kirsty Field, supporting small business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives and crafters, encouraging you guys at home to just keep crafting and create a life you love without sacrificing yourself or your family. Each week I'll be bringing you inspiration, support and guidance on how to turn that hobby or side hustle into your dream job. And I'll be joined by some amazing guests who are already living their dreams. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Welcome friends, as always it's your host here, Kirsty Field, wife, mama, small business owner, mentor and crazy crafty lady, and I have the privilege of being joined by another crazy crafty lady today. That is right, it is my favourite time of the week where I am joined by one of our very special guests here on the Sunday Socials. For those of you who don't know what Sunday Socials are, it's a chance to get together with one of our PBM community members and we have a little chat and a talk and we find a new friend basically, and they tell us all about their journey, where they're at the moment, what's going on with them, and we learn all about them. So I am delighted to introduce today's guest to you. Her name is Annabelle and she is the creator and owner of Crochetabelle. Hello, Annabelle.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. How are you? How are you feeling?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah. How are
Good. Yeah, good. Thank you. Very good. Been one of those days again today. It's certainly not as sunny. I think that's all the summer gone. We've had it. It's done, isn't it? That was our summer.
That's it.
It was done. It was over and done with. So we'll talk a little bit more about the art of crochet, or the nemesis of crochet, as the community will now know it from my perspective anyway. But talk to us a little bit about you, about your business, where you're at the moment, what's going on with you.
Well, it's at the moment it's just like a hobby kind of thing. I just kind of want to make it into a small business. I always feel happy about crocheting, and I want to like share that happiness by being able to make things for people.
Yeah.
Instead of just making stuff for myself. So like, yeah.
That's something we're all guilty of. That's something that we will definitely all agree with you on here. I still, to this day, no matter what I am making, will end up giving most of it away, and you are definitely not alone in that. So as we've talked already, you're in the very, very early stages of potentially converting that hobby into a business, aren't you? Because you're a very busy lady. I know you work in a part-time job at the minute, and you're moving into uni in September, aren't you? What are you going to study?
Aeronautical engineering.
Oh my God. Who's the clever clogs in the room right now? Definitely. Wow. I mean, does this may be a rather random question, but does crochet help you at all with aeronautics?
It may do, you know, physics maybe.
You never know. You may need to whip one of your crochet hooks out sometime to aid you with a problem. But
exactly.
Clearly a very, very clever lady to be even considering doing that. So you're working part time at the moment, and obviously you've got uni and bits and pieces. How do you see your business side of things fitting into your life moving forward? Because you're busy now and you're going to be busy then. How do you see it sort of slotting in?
Well, I would love to do it as kind of like it's something to do in my spare time. So if I am doing nothing, for example, I don't want to just be doing nothing. So I just love crocheting, and it'd be something to do in the meantime, and then hopefully move from there.
Yeah, definitely. And it is, and it's all about juggling your time, isn't it? We talk a lot about that on the community, about slotting it in and finding time, and inevitably, would you agree, if it is something that you love and you enjoy and that you're passionate about, you manage to find the time to do it, don't you, if it brings you real joy?
Definitely. Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely so. So I know you've been in terms of the business side of Crochetabelle. You've had a couple of dabbles with different things, haven't you? I know that you'd certainly got the Etsy side of things that you'd looked into or had looked into in the past. But To Do is a platform that I had heard of, but I've not had too much experience myself in. And I know that's where you sort of do a lot of your sales and things from that social platform. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that for anybody that's like me that doesn't know much about it?
So it's like a very small platform that I think a lot of people should know about, really, because with Etsy, for example, there's a lot of fees.
Yeah.
as many people may know. But with To Do, all it is, you pay for the item. It's with the shipping. There's no fees to do with it. It's a bit like Facebook, but for crafters.
Yeah.
But it's like I find it better because there's no extra fees. You get all the funds to you. You can you can do whatever you want with those funds, but nothing goes to that app.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Exactly so. Experience of mine, and I know a lot of the community are in exactly the same space with Etsy. They've had to look at alternatives because with the Etsy fees going up again at the beginning part of 2023, it's a huge chunk of your profit. And when you are a lot of the time doing it for, we talk about having, you know, money and earning money from your crafts or your hobbies or your side hustles as an extra, right? It's a bonus. And if you are only doing it for the love of doing it, it gets to a point where sometimes you do have to think about, does this actually cover my material fees? Don't you? It's a tough choice.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really tough choice. And To Do has grown massively in the craft world. I know that much. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
very, very new platform. It is exactly as you describe. It's like social media. It's like Facebook Marketplace, but without the fees. Exactly as you
yeah,
say, and it puts you in direct communication with the buyers, doesn't it? And you
yeah,
literally just take it from
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think I'm definitely going to be, you know, stay tuned, everyone. I'm definitely going to be digging into some more research on that for you and coming up with some how to's and things, and certainly picking your brain, Annabelle, on that side of things, definitely, because I think everybody is looking for, as always, the maximum amount of profit they can make, because especially if you are looking at earning additional income or your sole income from what you're looking at doing, you want to make the most profit that you
Yeah,
possibly can. And Etsy fees are, you know, very, very high at the
yeah,
moment, especially, and I
definitely.
should imagine they're only going to continue getting worse, aren't they?
Yeah,
You're on a lot of social medias as well. I
yeah.
know that, and me. I'm a lot older than you, obviously, and you know, I am back from the days of MySpace, you know, before
Mm,
Facebook was up and running. So
yeah.
in terms of the socials, as I know a lot of our community are, overwhelmed by a lot of socials. How do you manage that? Do you sort of slot it into with your personals, or how do you juggle? Because you're on Insta, on TikTok, and Pinterest as well, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't post as often as some people may. I only do it when I actually make things, which I think I should actually do more because then I'll get more, people and engagement.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment it's kind of just something that I do when I remember to do it, which is kind of like not the greatest, but I think I need to, do more to increase the engagement that people can give to my social medias.
It's all about the engagement, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
think that's right, and I think that's where you perhaps step away from just doing it as the hobby and doing it for
Mhm.
pleasure and want to take it that next step further. It's the commitment, isn't it, to
Yeah.
making it regular, to turning up, to showing up, to show up, glow up is the phrase, isn't it? You know, and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and that and that's how you take that next step into making it more business minded than more hobby minded, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
You,
Yeah.
you you touched on something that I absolutely loved, and you said it to me. For those who don't know, when I have a guest on our Sunday socials, I send them out a few questions because it's nice to know a little bit more about them and where they are, what they're doing, and obviously I like to get all their social media handles and things like that so that I can give them to you guys at the end, and you can go find them and stalk them yourselves. But I asked Annabelle what other info there was that she wanted to share, and she's already mentioned it again, that she just loves being able to share the happiness and the joy of crocheting and taking that out there and putting it into the world. And as I touched on briefly at the beginning, and I have mentioned it before, I do a lot of crafts. I will turn my hand to anything. If you can make it, I will give it a go, right? Crochet for years has stumped me. I can knit, but crochet just leaves me in a ball on the floor with the ball of wool all in a big knot and sobbing, right? How did you learn to crochet? Where did that come from for you?
Well, my mom knew how to crochet. She knew how to crochet, like the granny squares and things like that.
Wow.
Um, so I learnt like the basics from her, and then from then I'm kind of self-taught.
Hmm. Hmm.
So sorry if you can hear the Oh, she's coming in the background.
It's making me hungry. I'm not. I talked about this on another podcast the other day. Right, the ice cream van was around loads when I hadn't got any cash in the house, because, like we do
Yeah.
nowadays, you don't have much cash in the house, do you? Because of COVID, and a lot of places are cashless. And since I've had cash and I've been waiting for them to come on a nice sunny day, they've never come.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
clearly I'm in the wrong place. You've got it going on over there. I need to hop
No,
on
yeah.
over, and I fancy a Magnum. I'm not gonna lie. Go
Oh,
on.
yeah. But yeah, I think it's like. So what were we saying before? Sorry.
It's the thought of the Magnum. It's
Yeah.
completely and utterly. But
Yeah.
I
It
get
has.
it. I get it. Yeah, we were talking about how you got into crocheting.
Oh yes. Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, I think also because you can make so many things.
Yeah.
It's not just bound to like one thing you can only make.
Hmm.
And there's so many different types of things. You can make clothes, bags, teddy bears, things like that.
Hmm.
And there's just tons. But I think what got me into it was just knowing that there's so much you can do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
What's your favourite thing to make in terms of crochet things? Because it is exactly like you say. It's like the knitting side of things, isn't there? There's the toys, there's the
mhm,
clothing, there's the bags, there's the home accessories. Do you have a
yeah.
favourite sort of niche that you like to do?
I do like plushies
Yeah.
and teddy bears and things. I recently made like a clutch bag,
Wow.
which was quite nice actually. I like how that turned out. Um, I do like making clothes, but it just take a while, and then I get distracted, and then I never finish the stuff. But
Who does that sound like? Pretty much 99% of the people who are listening to us right now. I start something and then I get distracted, and then I'll start something
yeah,
else and go, "Oh God, I never even finished that." And you'll
yeah,
and you'll find it in the depths of your
yeah,
half-started projects that we all have and we
exactly.
all love, and that's just how it goes, isn't it? That's how
Yeah,
it goes. Well, like I say, you said about sharing happiness and sharing joy, and just being out there, and that really is the premise of PBM, and the brand and the community that we're trying to build here, and just getting yourself out there, and like I say, money being a byproduct, but just really enjoying what you're doing, and being able to sort of continue to do that, because it is important, and we touch on mental health and things like that and how it all helps. Do you have any specific plans with where you would like to go, or what you want to move on to, or can you give us any hints, or is it all a big secret, or what's your sort of next phase, next plan?
I do want to increase um the engagement in what I get on social media,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then hopefully get more people to see how good crocheting actually is.
Hmm.
Because some people just think of it as like something that grandmas do.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
There is still a
um,
proper stigma to it, isn't it? I
yeah,
think
yeah,
sometimes, definitely.
definitely.
Definitely. You mentioned about sort of tuition and things like that, didn't you? Is that
Yeah,
something that you would like to look into doing yourself? You being a tutor, because you'd have me as a student without a shadow of a doubt, because I think that's my problem. I've tried to learn through YouTube, and for
hmm.
some reason I think it's a tension thing for me.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
difficulty that I have. The tension is the difficulty. I understand the stitches and I understand how it goes, but I just cannot for the life of me get the tension right. It always just
yeah.
looks like a big mess. Whatever I try and chain, it's just not happening. In terms of adding extra, strings to your bow, tuition of anything like that is a great route to go down. Is that something that you're hoping to add to your bow?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have actually also made a YouTube channel. I
Wow.
haven't uploaded anything yet, but I've made like a video and I'm like trying to edit it and stuff. But it's basically teaching people the basics.
Great.
Um, like the chain stitch.
Hmm.
That's the first one I've done.
Hmm.
But you know, I want to do like a whole series about that. But I know that some people that watch YouTube videos either lose concentration or get frustrated because they don't understand what's going on,
Yeah.
you know, or things like that. But with one-to-one tuition on
Hmm.
stuff like that, like people can understand it better because then they can ask questions, you can answer them, you can be more clear, and they understand better what's going on.
Absolutely. I mean, I come from a background of teaching. You know, I've done courses face to face, but I've also done demos when I used to be on the television doing demos for jewelry making and things. And I know exactly what you're saying from the demonstration side of things. There is only so much that you can get across on the television, and you can pause and rewind and stop and do it over and over. But sometimes it does just help to have somebody there face to face to literally show you where it should. Like I say, with the tension side of things, for me, they can show me, but I perhaps somebody need to literally get behind me and show me how tense it should be, because that's the part that I'm struggling with. And I completely, I'm so glad you mentioned your YouTube channel. I'd been on, and I knew you'd set it up quite recently, but I knew you hadn't got anything active on it yet. So I'm glad you mentioned it. Obviously being new to the channel side of things as we're recording this, today is the very first day, our very first podcast went live today as I'm talking to you now. Obviously there'll be a few by the time we put this one on. But yeah, I mean, YouTube is a fantastic teaching tool. It's a great way to potentially follow up if you're looking at doing face-to-face courses, to then put tuition videos on so that people can go back and review and learn that information again, potentially when they've left you. And also a great way for showcasing. You know, YouTube Shorts is a brilliant way now to sort of, you know, get yourself out there, and another way of adding that engagement, which is, like you've said, I'm so excited for you, hun. You've got so much potential and moving forward and what you're wanting to do. So do you think it's going to be plushies that potentially you may look at selling moving forward exclusively, or are you going to keep yourself open to other options?
Well, at the moment, yeah, probably plushies are the best in my opinion, because everyone loves plushies.
Who doesn't? Yes,
exactly.
Hell
you
yes.
But like, it can be more difficult because of the fact that, you know, there's different health and safety stuff to go along with it. People can be like, oh, I got injured from this, so I'm going to sue you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The only problem is with selling as well is, like, people can scam you, which I have actually experienced recently.
Yeah.
And it's really hurtful because, you know, it was going to be my first ever sale. But then it wasn't, and then it disappointed me, and it was like, oh, all right then, you know, it wasn't what I thought it was. But yeah, I am hoping to stick with plushies and then hopefully move on with different things like that
and branch out.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you just brought up two fantastic points that I want to touch on, and I want to make sure we cover both of them, because they're actually things that we haven't yet discussed on the podcast, but certainly something that I wanted to delve into further. Health and safety first and foremost. You're absolutely right, and anybody that's going to be selling anything should make sure that they're adhering to whatever health and safety rules and regulations are in place for that particular item. So a lot of products don't have that much stipulation depending on what they are, but there are things that you need to consider, such as plushies, things like that you're going to be, you know, promoting and selling to children if that's your target audience that you're looking at going into. And then you have other things such as products like candles, bath products, things like that you have to adhere to. There are amazing resources that I am going to be sort of listing, and I will make sure that everybody has sort of the details for that. And if there is any information that you want, I'm sure that there are community members as well as myself that will certainly give anybody out there any advice. If you do want to look at something that you're not 100% certain of the rules and regs on, you can certainly double check. The .gov UK website also has a lot of information about, you know, selling and sales, and being a business person, and what the terms and conditions are for certain things. So that's always a good place to start. But I want to talk about scammers, exactly like you've said, because it seems to be rife in the craft community, no matter what sales platform that you're on, that there are people who will, contact you. They'll have conversations with you. You know, you'll discuss prices. They'll say, even if it's very early stages of not scamming potentially at this early phase, but they get you all pumped up and ready to start. Maybe you start looking at materials. Maybe you even start purchasing materials for what they've discussed, but the sale never comes through. And then you have the complete opposite end of the scale, which it sounds like where you were with your scamming journey, in that, you know, you actually got something prepped, ready, done, maybe even shipped out, and never ended up getting the sale from. It's such a shame, isn't it? And I think it really lets the community down. What would you say to to anybody out there that's potentially worried about it or experienced it and it's maybe putting them off a bit, what sort of advice would you give to them?
Well, I would say that if anyone doesn't buy it directly from a shop that you've set up,
Hmm.
don't fully trust it at first.
Yeah.
Make sure you like say to them, I promote this stuff on my shop.
Hmm.
Please, if you are going to buy the stuff or you want me to make something, I will put it on my shop so you can buy it from there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it directly from here because I don't want anything like that to happen,
Yeah.
scam wise.
Hmm.
So,
That is a fantastic piece of advice. Absolutely so. And I would agree with that because although, I mean, we've just talked about Etsy and the cost of fees and things like that. But exactly like Annabelle has said, guys, if you have something listed and even if you put a custom listing up there for them, you know, you're protected, they're protected. The money goes through the correct channels. It's all logged. You're backed up. You've got, you know, access to the conversations that you have between the two of them and all that. Because if you are wanting to do what Annabelle is doing, what I am doing, what so many of you are wanting to do as a business, there comes to a point where you have to run it like a business. And although it might be nice to speak to people through Facebook, through Insta, through email, whatever it may be, you know, the rules and regulations in place for it being a verbal contract between the two of you don't really exist until it's on an official place where money is exchanged hands between, you know, a system or an e-commerce platform or a sales platform like Etsy, like eBay, wherever it may be, and then it is a transaction, and then you have more rights as a seller and they also have more rights as a buyer. So I'd completely agree with that. It's definitely the best decision. It can be so, like you said, upsetting, and it can make you so disheartened, can't it? How do
yeah.
you come back from that side of it to do it again?
Well, considering like it was the first sale I've ever had, it was very, you know, well, not obviously, but the first sale it was going to be, obviously, it was very disheartening. But
Yeah.
at least I didn't send it off and spend money on it.
Yeah.
It was stuff I'd already made,
Hmm.
stuff that they wanted. I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that for you.
Hmm.
But at least it wasn't that money went through and then I didn't get anything back or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, it is a shame, and it happens more and more. And exactly like you say, I think you're one of the lucky ones that hadn't spent money on it and that hadn't sent it off and things like that. But like you said, like I've covered, keeping it on platforms that can be monitored, that can, you know, assist you if you have problems with the order being sent out and people saying they haven't received it and things like that, because people will try it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they've tried it with me in the past when I've sent stuff out and I've got, you know, postage and they've taken a photograph at the other end and things like that, and they will absolutely insist that they have not had it. And that's when whatever sales platform you have chosen to sell via will then have your back if there's all that evidentiary support. So that is why it's important to look into that and into your options if you're looking at moving into selling in that direction. You talk about obviously where you're hoping to move things to, and obviously where you want the business to go. You sell on quite small scale platform at the moment with To Do and things like that. Have you had any thoughts about? We have a lot of people ask us questions about starting their own website and setting things up on Shopify and stuff like that. Would you ever consider, you know, scaling up to hosting something on your own, or are you happy with sort of a sales platform or an e-commerce platform? Does that do what you need it to do for now, or?
For now, I'll say it would, but I would like to have my own like website. Hopefully, if I get enough people to do it, because sometimes hosting a website costs money.
Yeah.
So obviously I'd need the money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Which I don't really have at the moment. So
Don't we all?
yeah, yeah.
I've got a website and I still don't have the money for it, but yeah.
So I'm just trying to find ways around it to be like, oh yeah, I could do this for free. I can still get money from this, and then hopefully upgrade from there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think it's a scary thing, isn't it? Taking yourself out of places that are controlled with other people, where you just have the responsibility of your page and your products, and that's it. And they, you know, you have a natural flow of traffic with places like this because people come to these places. It's like having your own physical shop on the high street, or being in a department store, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you give up a lot of the control of the advertising and the marketing, and you have this organic traffic that comes through places like Etsy and Temu and Facebook and anywhere else that you can sell, Amazon for example, because people just go there. It's a place, it's a one-stop shop, and you just happen to be one of the shops is there. But taking over that, I know me setting up this brand and having to do the advertising and marketing and get people to go to the website, because nobody naturally goes there, is really difficult. It's really tough, and it's a big learning curve, and it's something for me that I'm still learning as well. So you touched on it again. There are so many tools and ways of doing it for free, of trialing it out, of saving money, of making money in other ways. Those are things that I'm going to be covering, so stay tuned on further info for that. But I am going to be doing some modules and things about setting up a website and doing it for free, because there are ways of doing it, or doing it for a low cost, just to trial it out and see if it works. So it's great to hear that that's something that you potentially look at doing in the future, and I certainly wish you lots and lots of luck with it, because I know it's amazing when you do it, and when you have full control, including on 100% of the profit, because really then at that point you only need to take into consideration who is processing the transactions for you financially. And when you've got that into consideration, that then is way less in terms of a percentage than the likes of Etsy. It is shocking, and I can speak from experience, because obviously we're having the PBM shop is being set up at the moment that I'm working on, and the transaction fees alone, just to process the money side of things, that's without Etsy taking their share, is significantly different. And when you're selling products that you've worked really hard at making, and you have put your heart and soul into, and you want to make profit, it doesn't have to be massive amount of profit, like we say on here, money is a byproduct. When you want to make some money off it, a couple of quid here and there to buy the kids an ice cream from the, if you fancy a Magnum, like we've talked about, it'd be nice to be able to have the cash in hand to do that. But when you see how much of a percentage that some of these e-commerce platforms are taking, you can see why they're the giants that they are, because that is, think of all the people that are on Etsy and how much money they're taking from everybody every day, and all they're doing is hosting the site. They're not sending anything out, they're not making anything, they're not staying up learning how to make a magic ring or a magic circle, crocheting like me and Annabelle are trying to do at home. They're not doing that. They're letting Annabelle set up her site, and then just sitting back relaxing and being like, hey, I'm making money off of that.
Exactly.
but that is the genius that is Etsy, isn't it? It's the marketplace of geniuses that they would piggyback off of doing this. It's the place to be, isn't it, in terms of being a crafter? And it's a shame that they do charge so much now. It does upset me. I am so pleased to speak to you, and it sounds like you've got so much going on, and like I say, I can't believe you're doing that at university. Just kudos to you. I wish I could go back now and do. I just frankly have not got the time. I'm doing some modules at the moment. I am doing some diploma studies alongside doing what I'm doing at the moment, which I've just done a podcast about why your brain is so crap when you get to my age. It's not called that, it's got a nicer title, but I've just done a podcast about why it is so difficult to learn as you got older, and how it would be good if you went back and did it when you're a younger person like yourself. And so I am finding it really, really difficult to study now. I'm on that slippery slope to 40, and it is incredibly hard. How do you stay focused in terms of the fact that that you want to do your studies, that you've I assume, are you going to continue with your part-time job while you're at uni?
Well, my plan is that I'll have to move away to uni.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm not too sure about that yet. Probably will have to find another part-time job
Find
if I was
another
to do
one.
that,
Yeah,
or hope that my crafting goes well.
there you go.
That's what my hope was,
Yeah.
Hope my crocheting goes well, can make a little bit of money on the side to be able to help with my studies.
And fund that tuition, because it's expensive. Being a student is
Yeah,
expensive, especially
yeah,
nowadays. Yeah, you have to choose between eating or going out on Friday night, and
yeah,
I
exactly.
I know from experience the one is much more fun than the other.
Yeah.
So, I remember those good old student days. University of Worcester. Oh yes.
Oh, nice.
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I wish you so much luck with university and with your business and converting Crochetabelle into a successful business that's going to be able to support you. Like I say, you can find the fabulous Annabelle over on To Do. You can find her on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and all the places, because she's a very busy, very tech savvy, social lady. So I will be linking everything in the description below. So I want you to make sure that you go and check her out, follow her and stalk her and support her, because that is what we are all about here. This is why we are together in this community, to all support each other. I want to take a second. Thank you, Annabelle, so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I've certainly
I
enjoyed
have.
having
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Good.
for having me.
No,
It's
you're
been
very,
fun.
very welcome. And I'd love to hear from you when you're back from a break, perhaps, to
Yeah,
see
no
how you're
problem. Yeah, of
getting on,
course.
and see how you've managed to transfer over. Maybe if you tried some stuff that hasn't worked, you can come back and tell us all.
Yeah, of
And
course.
yeah, that would be lovely.
Would love to.
So I thank you very much for being here, as
No
always.
problem at all.
For you
Thank
guys
you.
at home, thank you so much for joining us again, as always, for another Sunday social. Your reminder to make sure you once you are on Annabelle's pages and liking everything, make sure you go on the Printed by Mama stuff and like all of that as well. Make sure you have liked today's podcast and you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss the next one. If you are still interested in being a guest on Sunday Social, we would love to have you. Drop me a message, pop me a comment, get in touch, and I can discuss it with you, and you can come on just like Annabelle is right now and talk to us about your business journey, where you're at, and you can do a little plug for your business. And I'm certainly hoping that it helps you out, because that's what it's all about. We are here to love and support each other and grow this fabulous community. Annabelle, thank you very much again, darling. And
Thank you very
I
much for
will
having me.
catch up with you all again soon next week. For now, guys, that's it. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you, and we'll be back. Bye bye.